Right, well, I'll record this presentation as well so that I can send it to you afterwards. So thanks everybody for coming. I won't put the camera on because apparently it drains the power, so you won't see it as well. And not only that, you don't want to see my shiny bald head. So, right, I'll take you through Zumos. I'll be showing you some screens from secondary as well, just to get the message across, but I'll deliver very much how primary has been created. So, firstly, sorry, can you just give me 2 seconds? Somebody's making a noise outside. So, right, sorry guys, right, okay. So, firstly, everything on Zumos has been developed through steering groups, and on those steering groups we work with CAMS, we work with all mental health services, also with subject matter experts, educational psychologists and various regions, teachers, pupils. So everybody has had input into this. Those steering groups, everything is then passed on to working groups to develop the content. And that's how Zumos came about over the last 12 years, really. It's been in development. So it's a very, very big project. Everything is expert written, peer reviewed, and everything goes through a due diligence process. We are also CAMS kite marked. So it's very good information that you have on Zumos to access. Now, quite importantly, the first thing is when you take Zumos to school, you're fully in control of all the information. So you can grant or deny access to anything on there and populate it with the content that you want. So you're in control of that. So taking you forward. So when you take this, we deliver it to all primary schools ready to use. We create all the usernames and passwords so you don't have to have children sitting at lots and lots of computers. And primary is very teacher-led as well. So it literally takes minutes a day to deliver the change aspect of Zumos, because this is all about building self-confidence and resilience on a daily basis. So once you have that, as we say, it's teacher-led. I'll be talking about anonymity, but in primary, it is not anonymous. You can see exactly who is accessing what, right the way up until they transition into secondary. As soon as they move to secondary, everything on Zumos becomes anonymous, even through to adult. Okay. So once they have access, also they have access 24 hours a day. So we give them a username and passwords. Most of it is delivered by the teacher, but they can access Zumos on any internet connected device once they have their username and password. So when a child first comes into Zumos, as we say, this is a secondary screenshot. They have feelings, life, relationships and body. And they can search for any issue that they are dealing with. Once again, everything is written to the age of the pupil. So it's all suitable for age. That's the due diligence aspect. So once they search through, they can click on any title and it takes them through to a vocal recording. Once again, this is secondary. You can't see the screenshots. Okay, have I shared my screens? I should have. I'm pretty sure I have. Right, can you see them now? I don't know if I can make you the presenter, actually. Can you see the screenshots now? Yes, great, okay. So if I go back just a couple, that will show you what we were looking at. So this is the landing screen for Zumos. And then everybody comes to zumos.co.uk. So as an administrator, you come here, we come to this one, and this is where we log in. So when a child comes through in secondary, it's for feelings, life, relationships, body, and we have hundreds of titles that they can just access. That gives them, so it's set that it's 30% information, 10% supportive language, but the majority is what they can do to self-empower and move forward. What can they do to help themselves? Now, in secondary, we give all the further help information. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the reason I say this as well is because it kind of gives you an idea what's going to be available for your teachers as well, and for parents and for adults and everybody, because this goes beyond the school as well. So we give a lot of further help information. So, okay, I'll move on through. Now, the most important feature that has come forward from CAMS on Zumos is the How to Be Happy message. Now, this is a daily short recording that is played out loud during registration or whatever time is suitable for you. It is a simple mind technique on how to think positively, how to build self-confidence and resilience. And as we say, for every day, there is a different mind technique that follows this curriculum of intrapersonal, interpersonal, transpersonal, and wider world skills. So all of these sections have come from the Jubilee Centre, from educational psychologists and psychotherapists on what is needed to build a resilient, self-confident character. So not only are they learning on a daily basis life skills, as well as learning academically, they're learning these life skills on a daily basis. And this repeats year on year so that they constantly build these life skills. Now, we talk about measurability. When you launch this in the school, in the first week, every child will need to be on a computer, but during that time, just on that launch week, they complete what we call power quizzes. But these are CAMS approved mental health evaluations for self-confidence, resilience, well-being and depression. So at the end of that launch week, you will have a recognized mental health evaluation of every student in your school. We then repeat these quizzes quarterly in month 4, 8 and 12 of the project. So by delivering the How to Be Happies and the other features, you will be able to measure the change that you've affected in the well-being of your school as a whole, but also down to each individual in primary. Now, this is Speak Out, but we have a feature called Worry Box. So in secondary, this is anonymous, but in primary, in Worry Box, they can send you a message. The teacher will get an email alert that a new Worry Box message has come in, but you can also deal with this at the school level administration. So you could have one person dealing with Worry Box messages and then sending a message back to that student. So you'll see exactly who it is as well. Now, this is Key Stage 1 look. So you'll have an avatar that they can dress. And what I'll do is I'll take you through these features, that these are the main features on Zumos. So the first thing we have is mindfulness. Now, as I say, because it's teacher-led a lot of the time, maybe at the end of a break or after lunch or something, this can be just put up on the smartboard and you can click the number of minutes that you want to play it for, and that will talk the class down into mindfulness for that period of time. You also have hours and hours of ambient visualization and sounds behind here, like space and nature and seashores. And then obviously there are some longer visualizations here. So you can do it as a class, but obviously they can access it individually themselves. Now, the first thing that children asked for when we were developing Zumos was games. So these games are based on the latest science coming out of our universities. This is mainly out of Oxford, and this is called cognitive bias modification. Now, the evidence for this is that if these games are played for 10 minutes, 3 times a week, after 8 weeks, you are measurably more positive. And very popular games, and these can be played to personal best, year best, school best, and national best. And if they achieve that, a little trophy comes whizzing in, and then if somebody beats that score, it disappears again, so they can be competitive with it if they want. This is a Key Stage 1 look for accessing the title. So what a child will do is come into their room, mouse over the balloons, and a list of titles will drop down. They just click and it will play. Generally, they're about 2 minutes long, the recordings. They're very short. Once again, the same structure, information, support, but then motivation and what they can do to move forward. And they're generally delivered by Alex the Dinosaur or something like that in Key Stage 1. What I will be showing you is how Toolbox can be used to deliver a consistent level of mental health support for children reaching a point of crisis. So this is Key Stage 2 look. So it gets a little bit older, Alex the Dinosaur disappears, and you start to get this look like a Minecrafty look. Now what we have here is it's a rewards kind of feature that we've put on here. The idea is that every day they start a score at 0, and the more they do on it, the more points start to build up here. They're aiming to get 50 points a day, and this will start to fill up until they reach the word resilient. Every 1,000 points, a piece of a resilience cup will appear here. And there are 18 pieces to that cup. So we've worked out that by doing the minimum on Zumos a day, they will achieve their resilience cup. You'll get notified when somebody has achieved that, and you can award them their resilience certificate in assembly. So they're working towards something. This is how Key Stage 2 access their titles. So once again, a little older, they just mouse over, and we've got different sets of recordings for Key Stage 1 and some for upper and lower Key Stage 2. We have a feelings diary. So this is all geared towards the positive. What am I happy about today? What am I looking forward to tomorrow? This is all visible to the teacher and to the school as well. But every time they click on any one of these things, what their mood is, how they rate their day, what their mood for the day is, all of that is in the back end. So you can monitor the well-being of that child and how they are feeling, and also how it changes over the course of the year. So that was essentially the pupil experience. Now what I'll show you is how this works for a teacher and for a school administration. So a teacher will log in, they will see a list of their pupils' names for their class, and when a child first walks into class in the morning, the idea is that you have Zumos up on the smartboard. As they walk past, they tap their name and they tap an emoticon for how they're feeling. Once they've tapped it, the name disappears, so nobody can see what they tapped, and that face will appear by the side of their name on the teacher's console. So straight away, you're doing like a mood register of the morning. That then gives the teacher an idea of what the mood of the class is, and you can log into the back end of the school and see the overall school mood. Now, say for instance, you see an unhappy face, and you find out that one of the children has experienced a trauma of some sort. Say, for instance, their pet has died. What that teacher can now do is click the name and drag and drop the title, "My Pet Has Just Died," into their toolbox. They can sit them down and say, have a listen to that. So although they're there still to be supportive and have the one-to-one, it's never meant to take that away. What happens is that they know that they have, by listening to that recording, they've had the right information delivered to them on how to deal with grief. So not all teachers then have to be counsellors. And that delivers for all the different subjects that consistency of information and support. Now this goes through to a school level. So you will have your login to the school. This is where you get the overall school mood for the day, any worry box messages that have come in. If you need to sign up new teachers or sign up new students, take away new students, that's all done from this platform. But this is where you start to get your statistical information. So you see your school mood for the day. You can look back on previous days. You can go back over months, so you can see historically the moods, and then look and compare to see how they've changed. We give a lot of reporting with this as well on a quarterly basis and an overall annual report, so we can use that for seeing the change affected. Most importantly, at the end of the first week, once you've launched Zumos, you just come into here and you will see the results of the evaluations that have been completed on the quiz feature. You can click on the number and open it up. You'll see how many have completed it, highest, lowest, average score, and boy-girl split. And because in primary it's not anonymous, you can go right down to the individual and see how they scored on their mental health evaluation results. Then you start to get very good statistical information. Now, this is the same for primary pretty much as it is for secondary, just the titles will be different. But you then start to see exactly what people are exploring. So say, for instance, this is a secondary school. I Feel Suicidal is number 2, 239 listens, of which 27 listened to it 3 times or more, and 8 clicked through to further help. Schools can filter this down to male, female, and school year. And obviously, as we say in primary, where it's not anonymous, you can go down to the individual. This kind of data enables you to start focusing your pastoral care more effectively. And then you're not just responding to crisis or people reaching a point of crisis, you can then start to use this to put in preventative measures for what people are exploring. We take all of this to a regional level. So if you are a cluster of schools, or we run regional campaigns where this is hopefully going to be funded ultimately by public health funding, regions can take this and start to use this to inform commissioning decisions. They can see what are the real issues across their region. They can do it by clusters, school year, all that sort of thing. So the idea is that ultimately this data, as well as supporting the school for its commissioning decisions and its pastoral care, it will go to a regional level for commissioning decisions. We take that up to a governmental level as well, and government is aware of us and that we are generating this data. The idea of taking that to Public Health England and ultimately getting funding to put Zumos into schools free of charge, which we do already, but with restricted data, so that you can have full Zumos access paid for by public health funding. Now, just to show you a little bit further how this goes forward from the regional level, we've developed this for primary, secondary. We're completing SEN, so you will have all SEN content available. Now, to support issues at home and therefore affect change from home, we're launching Adult Zumos shortly. We will also be launching Workplace Zumos. And we have part of our funding model that you can write home to parents asking them to join Adult Zumos. If they pay for Adult Zumos, it goes towards funding your school, but they also get everything to support them as an adult. But one of the features is called My Child, and that gives them parenting skills and how to deal with behavior in their children. So the idea is that the support is coming from home as well as from yourselves at school. And then we go to all the other platforms that develop for prisons and troubled families, young offenders, NEETs, etc. So we work with a lot of people. We're part of the Head Start project, which hopefully you've heard of, was the £75 million project from the lottery. We are taking the lead on technology for that, and we're part of the Wolverhampton Head Start lottery project. And so we should be moving into all the other Head Start regions as well. And we work with Solent NH Scams, a lot more collaborators now with Yorkshire Police, West Yorkshire Police, and things for e-safeguarding. Now, for regions, we do a regional campaign. So what we would ultimately look to do in your region is create this well-being campaign that brings everybody together, that brings the entire community towards building resilience and self-confidence and bringing it into the school. So what we do is we collaborate with regions. We bring together all stakeholders, so it'll be SLT from your schools, it will be regional support services, leading businesses, and then obviously mental health service support that is available within the region, but also public health and school support from that region. We then create a campaign bespoke for that region, and it all gets populated onto Zumos. So Zumos uses technology to bring everybody together on one hub. What we then do is create an administrated area for that region, and then during a launch event with the stakeholders, we look to create a well-being event once a month in a different school, so that we bring the community into the school, parents, teachers, community, business people, and support services can come to those events and create and advertise their services for well-being, but also everybody then has this collaborative approach to improving well-being. Now, what we do in month 2 and 3 is we take the data that has been generated on the back end of Zumos, and we bespoke those events according to what the biggest issues are, so that we are responding on a community level to the issues that are coming out of the data. They carry on month, and then when we get to the 8th step, really the idea, as we mentioned, is that the data that is coming in from this usage enables your local government and government to make evidence-based commissioning decisions. So that, in a very large nutshell, is Zumos and how it works. I can tell you a little bit about funding shortly. Have you got any questions at the moment that you'd like to ask me? If you just type them into chat, I can respond to those. And whilst you're typing, what I'll do is I'll start taking you through how Zumos is funded. We made the decision last year, because this is a very unique system. There really is nothing else like Zumos out on the market at all. It's recognised for that. That's why we've got a lot of interest from regions. We decided that we would make Zumos free to children. And so it is free, and any child can sign up. Now, the home screens for Chaos 1 and 2 and how the children would access the books. Okay, right. Now, the home screen, if I go back, every child will come to zumos.co.uk. So this is where everybody comes to log into Zumos. Now, KS1, once they log into here, the screen they come to first is this one. So that's KS1. So when they come in, they'll come here. They'll be asked to rate their life first if they haven't already done it that day, as in picking their emoticon for their mood. And this is how they access it. Once they go into here, those are the features I've shown you. So if I whiz you through, so if they click onto Chill Room, the one that they come to is this one. If they click onto Games Room, they'll come into there. If they click onto their room, over here, Dan's room, they'll come into there. So that's how it looks like that. And then, as we say, Key Stage 2, this is their home screen where they come into, and that is how they access the titles. Chill Room and the Games Room look exactly the same. So that is how it looks for your children. Now, the books, as we mentioned, there is no further help currently on primary, and that was a decision of the steering groups. We've since thought there may be something coming in there, but currently everything is geared towards them self-empowering or encouraging them towards disclosure. So that's where Key Stage 1 and 2 is at the moment. The listening books. I'm not sure whether, I mean, these are vocal recordings. So maybe that's what you're referring to, that there are vocal recordings. So by mousing over these, that's what they access, vocal recordings on how to deal with it. So they just click play once they've chosen what they want, and that will deliver the information on an audio recording. So that's probably what we were talking about there. There aren't any further help vocal books or anything like that, but it is all vocal recordings that they access. Okay. Would you like me to carry on with how this is funded for you, or you've got any more questions on the interface at the moment? Okay, as we mentioned in the classroom, okay, so it's not anonymous to primary. Key Stage 1 and 2 is not anonymous, so there is no anonymity at all on Zumos. So as soon as they log in, you will know that they have logged in and used it. So what some schools have been doing, if you wanted them to use it during class, you could just give them access to an iPad or something and let them go in. So they can go in with a bag and explore their Zumos profile with their username and password. So as we say, that is supplied. So it comes with a username and password ready to go. But on the teacher's console, for anybody forgetting it, all username and passwords are visible. So if they've forgotten it, the teacher can just tell them what it is. So most of it probably would be accessed outside. But once again, because of time constraints, it was always pretty much developed that it was teacher-led. So, as we say, so that you could keep time usage to a minimum. And the minimum, as we say, is generally 3 minutes. As long as that how to be happy message is played, it keeps Zumos in the forefront of their mind that it is available to them and that they have a login, but you are then delivering the change agent, the disruptor, which is the how to be happy message. Yes, we'll go back to the funding. So we will support any school that wants Zumos free of charge. So we will set you up and you can run it. And that is ongoing. You cannot incur any costs unknowingly with Zumos. That is what we are. We are a business and we are a company, but we are a company with charitable aims. And that was our decision to do that. So the child will receive all features, and we give you the ability to play the speak out of the how to be happy messages and respond to worry box. But what you won't get is any statistical information. You won't get your evaluation results or your reporting on the starter level for free. Now, by taking the free level, we have you have certain obligations towards us. One is to make a funding application, which we help you through and takes about half an hour. And that generally is to Awards for All at the lottery. We have a very high success rate for them. We also ask you to give us wording that requests public health funding for Zumos, and we look to secure you public health funding from your region or from the government. We will ask you, if we can secure it, to accept certain pre-approved sponsors, because we're looking for the likes of banks and supermarkets to sponsor Zumos into schools. Everything is geared towards making this free for you. And we also, as I mentioned earlier, have that parent funding model. So you can write home to parents asking them to join Adult Zumos. Anybody that joins using your school code, that puts that funding into your school. Now, as a school, you also have an option to pay for Zumos. Now, Zumos per annum is £3,500 plus VAT. Now, there are entry levels. So we have a bronze, silver and gold. Now, if as a primary you play, actually we've got silver and gold for primary, there's 3 for secondary. If you were to pay £495, you would get a fair amount of your data reporting. If you pay £995 plus VAT, you get full Zumos. And even if we don't secure you further funding or anything at all, you would never pay more than that £995. So the balance of the £3,500 does not come due. We still always look to secure the further funding via sponsorships or public health, etc. If we get to the end of the year and nothing further has been secured, it doesn't matter. You can continue. You can pay another £995 and you keep at that full level like that. If you choose not to, you would simply revert to the free level of Zumos. We will not switch it off. So you can feel secure in embedding it, knowing that it is a resource that is available to you ongoingly. But as we mentioned, ultimately, we are now getting regional funding quite often, public health funding for schools. So we can look at achieving that for you. So any other questions? And then I can talk about next steps. Did the funding model, was that clear enough for you? So what I'll do is I'll start talking about next steps. Now, you don't need to pay anything upfront at all. I'll send you information now that shows the different levels. So if you opt to take the free version of Zumos, there is nothing to pay. There is no upfront cost. It just means that when you're running it, you'll have everything you need to run it, but you'll have no statistical data on what's being accessed or reporting. You will be able to support the children with Zumos, populate their toolboxes, play the how to be happies, and play the mindfulness. So you get that, all of that, just no reporting. But then you might say, okay, we have 495 or 995 pounds to put into this. You can pay that, and then you have full access to everything with all reporting. And we will support you through the funding application. Another point is, if the funding application to the lottery is successful, we refund you anything you have paid. Yeah, that's per annum. That's per annum. So there is a way that actually, even if you achieve the funding, anything you pay will be refunded to you. So that is your choice. But if we don't achieve anything, obviously that's not refunded. You can use pupil premium. Yes, you can. We've got something written on there. So pupil premium can be used for this because it's about, I've got to try and remember we just found out about this recently. I will follow up information on there, but yes, pupil premium can be used to pay for this. And as I say, if you ultimately you didn't want to make funding applications, you didn't want to accept sponsors or anything like that, you just wanted to have full access to Zumos through reporting, then you could pay the £3,500, and then all those obligations fall away as well. So that's entirely up to you as a school. Yes, I mean, if you're a hub of 7 schools, what we would do, and if you wanted to have cross information for all of them, bringing it all together in one hub, the way that works is generally how it works for a hub like that. So sometimes we'll get regions or academy chains doing that. You could do it all individually, and then we could create you the regional level console and populate it with all schools' data. Now, how we do that is there's a one-off setup fee of £1,000 for that to create that hub, and then for the access to the data on that hub is £1 a head. So you can calculate yourself based on the number of students you have. So it'll be £1,000, and if you have 230 students in your school, it'll be £230 to populate that school's data on there per annum. The £1,000 is a one-off payment, but the data is at £1 a head. Because ultimately, you'll see on a region level, it's the data that we want to charge regions for and public health for to enable us to pay for schools to have it for free. I don't know if this all sounds complicated, but as I say, I can send you all this information so that you can look at it. So what I'll do, Hannah, is I'll finish off the web now. I've recorded it so that I can send you a link to the recording, and I'll send you some more information, sort of back up with the how we funded it. It's called Free to Every Child, and then you can have a look to see if you guys want to go ahead. The next step would be, if you decide you want to go forward, probably have a telephone conversation. Maybe there's something we can do if you're accessing it. If all 7 of you want it together, maybe we can do something for you so that you all come on board, because I like the idea that it comes together as a hub, and we'll discuss a way forward for there, for funding it, etc. And yeah, we'll just discuss ways forwards from there and see if you want to come on board. The next step would be that each school would need to send an acceptance email. We send that over to you and at what level you want to come in. And then from there, we start engagement immediately. Now, if you are wanting to support children before summer, before you break up so they have access to Zumos in the school holidays, there is still time to do that. We would have to move quickly, but we could still create the usernames and passwords in time so that you know they have access over the summer period. Okay. So any more questions before I sign off? And thank you for your time today. Thanks for all coming together. And sorry it was a bit scratchy to start with, getting us there, but we got there. Any more questions? Great, lovely. And thanks for your time today. Bye-bye.